everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers out there, past, present, alive with us, no longer with us. All the mothers, man. Once a mother, always a mother. Unique thing, and we're very grateful for them. And so today's show is it's for mom, for all the moms out there that support us, that are into this. Football today, JR. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Again, like you said, always glad to be here. Always glad to talk hoops. But first and foremost, y'all, happy Mother's Day. Laid out with my daughter. We're gonna try and get you some extra rest. We had an abridged show today, just so that way I can slide back over and go be dad and get you all the rest in, and hopefully some breakfast in bed today. And Iggy, shout out to your wife. Happy Mother's Day for her. I know you guys do the big thing. Just had the anniversary last week. Going back to back on them, man. You're man of the people.
Yeah, man. Got to keep it on rhythm. May's the month, man. You gotta get it going in May. Before we get talking about today's games, there's two of them. We're gonna recap a little bit of round two. Maybe if we can sneak in a little bit of MVP talk, some head coach talk, we will as well. But before we do that, JR, with where you work and how it's benefiting people and how people can help.
Yes. And thanks for giving me the time, guys. So this is the month of May, and for who I work with, the company I work with, we like to price match a donation for the Children's Miracle Network, which is a network which helps kids everywhere, partners with children's hospitals. Money gets donated for research, for palliative care. It goes into all kinds of good stuff. And during this month, at least for the next few episodes, I will be talking about raising funds and raising awareness for the Children's Miracle Network. We got the link below. It goes straight to my Venmo, of course, and I'll be donating the funds on your behalf. You can donate any way, shape, or form that you would like to. For us and where I'm located at, we will be the Children's Miracle Network partners with the Rady's Children's Hospital of San Diego, where my daughter gets her visits sometimes. So a shout out to Rady's Children's Hospital as well. And again, you can donate any type of amount, whatever you can, however you can. Please help us get to our company goal. We're trying to reach 90K this year. We reached 80K last year. And we do price match. So again, you guys can click the link below. That is donations. And then when you donate, make sure to make a note for the Children's Miracle Network. That's absolutely imperative. My personal goal, hopefully try to do something decent, like $100, but anything, it helps. So thank you for that. All right, let's get to getting.
Nice, man. Yeah. Real quick, we'll just talk about, obviously we're already into round two. There were a couple series, I believe, that were in round two in our last week. Most of it chalk. Dallas ended up beating the Clippers, to nobody's surprise. Or not too many people's surprise, I should say.
Yeah.
No Kawhi Leonard. Russell Westbrook just wasn't allowed. He does not fit that system that well. And then what does James Harden do? He just shrivels in the postseason, man. He just goes away. That didn't surprise me. Okay, well, where we're at right now, we had some surprises. I would say Denver dropping 2 in the first round. We'll talk about them later. The Knicks, they're on that Lance Armstrong pace, man. I don't know what they're doing over there. They're like, we're gonna play 6 people, and we're gonna win with those 6. They
shortest rotation
last night, but they're getting injured. They keep pushing the Pacers to the limit. Great game. It is the first game today. And before we talk about today, let's just recap a little bit of what we have going on. There we go. Let me get it.
Matt, so what do we have? New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers. New York up 2-1. Of course, the Pacers ended up winning that most recent game. We had that last-second three-pointer, which basically put the nail in the coffin for the Knicks to not send it into overtime. Tyrese Halliburton has been is it not surprisingly or surprisingly, I don't know how you would look at this, been the X factor for this series. Been trying to keep the Pacers in games. I want to tell you some of one of the most surprising things about this series is the simple fact that the Knicks have had the opportunity to be up 3-0 on a team that is fully healthy, that for some reason is not getting calls according to Rick Carlisle, and and this series has been a lot tighter than it's supposed to be. So I don't know if it's the Knicks' grit or if it's the Pacers' inability to show what they showed us the first half of the regular season. But it's 2-1 now, so here we are. I think my man's muted right now. We have no idea what happened, but that's okay because we keep things rolling here at TSA. So a couple more things about this series. The performance of Jalen Brunson has been absolutely stellar to say the least. And my big question is how long can we keep this going? I mean, we joked about it, of course, that short rotation, but another injury to the Knicks rotation, and for the Knicks to be able to keep and maintain this pace of scoring at least 100 a game, I think it's starting to wear on them. Having to depend on guys like Josh Hart, who has been essentially the glue for the Knicks this entire season.
Do you think Josh Hart is going to be able to keep playing at this pace too?
I don't know, but after he said what he said to Reggie Miller, the person Reggie Miller is going to come back to bite him in the ass.
Poor Reggie Miller, man. He's not even, he hasn't played basketball in almost probably since 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. And it's like, they're yelling F you at Madison Square Garden, and Josh Hart is giving him the business over there. I mean, Josh Hart, we had breaking news in the last game, and it was that Josh Hart went to the bench. I think he played, what was it, 7 straight quarters in a row without stopping or something like that.
Something absolutely ridiculous. The man's an Iron Man.
Dude, true Lance Armstrong, man. Like, just over there giving it his all. 18 rebounds, man. He out-rebounded the next 2 closest rebounds by the Knicks by 4. So you could take Precious Achiuwa and then Isaiah Hartenstein, and they had 14, and he had 18 rebounds, man. Difficult, and I was trying to point that out. I guess I was muted. I didn't realize it. The free throws, the Knicks won. The three-pointers, the Knicks won.
Yep.
The field goal percentage, they actually had a better field goal percentage. I mean, the rebounds were even. The defensive rebounds were even. The turnovers, they had 3 less. I think the Pacers just won it by pure pace and putting it down. With that being said, what do you anticipate from this game today?
So, I mean, given how close it was for all 3 games have been close. I'm giving it to the Knicks, though. I think that this isn't the round of where the short rotation and their fatigue catches up to them. Usually the second round is where, like, you hit your pace, where you're at, and I'm giving it to the Knicks today.
Okay, I'll take the Pacers. I have it pulling up right now. It's a little slow for me on the DraftKings. Maybe updating it. There we go. Pull up the screen for everybody else to see as well. Yeah, I mean, they're favored today at home. Naturally, they were 7-point favorites on yesterday, and I thought they would hit it and they would get above it. And then the Knicks just kept hanging on, man. It's just I don't know, like being a younger sibling, you got a bigger sibling, and you're trying to bring them down, and that's not happening. But You're not letting go,
Nope.
And that's just the Pacers weren't able to cover that spread, so they dropped it 1.5. I mean, Pascal Siakam is not having as near good a second round as he is the first round. That could be Tom Thibodeau. That could just be, like I said, the Knicks are playing, incredible. And part of the reason they are able to play that long is because of Tom Thibodeau. He puts his players in shape. He presses them all season, and they're going to be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at real quick the highest point total, we'll check it out for each team, and then we'll move on to the next game.
Sure.
Dante DiVincenzo, man, he went off in the first game. He's got 23.5 listed right here.
Yep.
Which is actually more, I guess, than Jalen Brunson. No, Jalen Brunson 32.5. I was about to say. So those two are still expected to lead the way with points. And then for the Pacers, you have Miles Turner at 17.5, Tyrese Halliburton at 21.5, Pascal Siakam at 21.5. So no true alpha in the sense of Jalen Brunson. But who do you see being the biggest point scorer or the biggest X factor for the Knicks?
Biggest X factor for the Knicks, actually, none of the starters that we talked about. We still have not talked about how great Isaiah Hartenstein has been for the Knicks for this entire series. And I'm telling you, man, from a fantasy perspective, I said it early on a couple shows ago, man, that guy, he's probably one of the better candidates for a 6-man. He stepped up in a great role at the center position. That battle right now has been absolutely a monster. And I think that the center position, I mean, yeah, definitely look at Miles Turner in that rebound battle. But look at Isaiah Hartenstein, see if he can get you a double-double. Maybe he can get you a little bit on that over, because they got to go inside. That's where the toughness is at, and that's where my money's at.
And I agree. Yeah, Miles Turner, giving him some grief with the outside play, but that should be an interesting battle. Okay, let's just go ahead and move it over quickly. Denver Nuggets, Minnesota. I knew they were going to win Game 3. I told, my other article, I told people to bet heavy on it. I said Tony Brothers is coming. The Dallas OKC had 30 more free throws than Denver Minnesota did, and there's no way that nobody out there is going to tell you that the Denver Minnesota game was less physical than that game. So they brought in Tony Brothers. He was giving out techs. He gave out 25 fouls to the Nuggets. He gave out 20 fouls to the Minnesota Timberwolves, spot of being 45 fouls, just like that.
Boom.
And they're going to try to keep that going. I didn't look before the show started to see if Scott Foster was going to be there. I don't have the refs in front of me, but look for them to keep it that way, in my opinion. I mean, Minnesota, this is a good team, and this is a rivalry. This is a division rivalry. These people know each other well. The coaching staffs know each other. There's coaching staffs from former Nuggets, but former Nuggets coaching staff is on Minnesota. The former GM for Denver is in Minnesota. And then Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. They've been in the Northwest Division since Utah days, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they make these adjustments on the with just 2 days. Denver had 5 days with the best coach, in my opinion, in the league, in Mike Malone, to make those adjustments. They went out there and made them. And I don't know. I think we're going to see more of the same. I think it's going to be Denver, making sure they're getting the fouls early, making sure they're making successful jump shots. And
I'm glad your day's starting right before mine, man.
Yeah, man. Come in, he was ready to play. But yeah, that's just how I see this game. I think, when I look at it real quick, the spread's gone down and down and down. It was at 4 points. It's down to 2.5 points right now, just looking at that. And I think, Ant should play better. I think Karl Anthony Towns he's in too much foul trouble. He gets in foul trouble pretty easily. McDaniels is getting in foul trouble.
Yep.
It's going to be back and forth, but I do think Denver ends up pulling it.
When Minnesota went up 2-0, they were talking about they had that post game interview, and shout out to Pete and Wendy. Hey, thanks for joining the show. JC, thanks for the shout out for the Mother's Day. When they were interviewing Ant post game 2, they were talking about how he was saying how important Cat is to be on the floor, saying how he's the best player when he's out there and his availability is what matters. For a team to come out flat and not be able to take advantage of the fact that there was a much more even game to be able to prove that they were the better team is a little bit disappointing in Minnesota, but it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back. The one thing that I haven't seen is that that Denver and Minnesota hasn't made this series a boat race. It hasn't been about who scores more. It's been about who executes a lot better. And one thing that we've consistently seen from Denver, no matter where you guys go, they've just been consistent in execution. So, yeah, Minnesota did drop one, but Denver came out to play, and hopefully they do it again because of the spread. I'm playing money line. Spread's a little bit too close for me to try to lose that money on. No hater, no shade. I'm going Minnesota just because they're up in the series and they're at home. So when it's that close, like my coach always says, you always spot the other team 20 points. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it has been an execution. Both teams have displayed a lot of emotion in their losses. And really, it hasn't been, like you said, close down the stretch. One of these teams has just came away and put the game away in the fourth quarter. Denver was up by 20-something the game before. Minnesota, the same thing prior to that. But yeah, it's superstars. I mean, it's a game. It's Nikola Jokic versus the Sixth Man of the Year award winner, Naz Reid, the Defensive Player of the Year award winner, and Rudy Gobert, and then also the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's moving. I don't know if it's called Moving Forward, but it's like a social movement. He helped felons be able to get voting rights and other rights back in Minnesota, which that's pretty important, and he deserves recognition for doing that. But Cat's also a perennial all-star. Like he's a perennial all-star. So I just think that's the battle. That's the narrative. I think it's just so hyperbolic in the media. It's so like this or that. It can't be like factual. Like, oh no, these are two good teams that know each other well. And, it's going to be a back and forth series. It went from being Minnesota has no chance. Oh, now Denver has no chance. And there were a few people like people said this prior to the series. They were like, it's going to be a long series. But as soon as those two games come up, it just happened. I've seen Minnesota come down, or I've seen Denver come back from being down 3-1 twice in this decade against future Hall of Famers, including Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley in one game, in one series. So
I remember that series. That was an insane series. Yeah, that was an insane series, boy.
That's when, that's when playoff Jamal supposedly came around. Let's go ahead and switch gears. Unless you have anything else you want to say about this.
No, you guys, fireworks is an evening game again. So after you get your Mother's Day thing out the way, everyone go ahead, sit down to dinner, and then pre-record the game. Just keep it on your DVR.
All right. And I think it goes back to like we said, all series right now are currently 2-1. And one of them that just became 2-1 was the Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell had a great game. Evan Mobley continues to have great games. Jared Allen was there. I think this is a different series because Boston has no hype. They have no answer for Mobley when he turns it on. But having said that, Cleveland has no answer to stop down this amazing all-time offense that we're seeing from the Boston Celtics. Once again, Boston's an 8-point spread, 207.5 on the over/under. They do play tomorrow. What are your thoughts on who wins this game and who wins the series?
The series is done.
Yeah,
Cleveland had a chance to show that after they got that one, that they had the methodology and the formulation to be able to put the pressure and the screws to the Celtics. Anytime that you get one, you need to find a way to copy that formula like almost immediately. And if you cannot be consistent, which Cleveland has been inconsistent from last series to this series, Boston is not Orlando. You can't just depend on Donovan Mitchell for 40 and then hopefully one of your other three guys will show up. That's not how it works against Boston. And at the end of this, if Boston wins it all, Boston's probably gonna have a T-shirt with the "Don't let us get one" because they seem to let them get their opponent get one every series, and then they're like, okay, let's stop playing with our food. Let's get this done and over with. It's over. Series is over. Go ahead, Boston. Do your thing. Let's move on to the next.
Yeah, I mean that was the third or fourth biggest loss. I think it was the fourth largest playoff loss in Celtics history. With the all-time team. I mean, I don't know that strikes me. It's just like Boston. That's why nobody's scared of Boston because they don't have that intimidation factor. Everybody walks up into a Boston game and feels like they can beat them, And for whatever it's worth, that's how it is. Tatum finally scored over 30 points. He was really good for me. I bet on him pretty heavy. I've been betting his under like crazy, but I parlayed his points, his rebounds, and his assists. I knew he's still a true leader. He's still one of the top 3 best USA-born players in the league, and he's got to rise on it. But I agree, not much time to be spent on here. I think Cleveland could win. I think they could win. But I think overall Boston wins the series.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how I feel about it. And then moving on to another interesting series, OKC Dallas. It's a rivalry for them to not be in the same division. OKC's in the Northwest Division. Dallas is in what is the division with Houston? Is that the Southwest?
Southwest.
Yeah, the Southwest. Yeah, Southwest with the furthest west team being what? It's San Antonio, probably.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Right there.
I could see Memphis is probably going to move to the East. Maybe New Orleans might move to the East, which would help those franchises out tremendously once they get Seattle and once they get Las Vegas. Because Seattle's definitely going to be in the Northwest Division, and I imagine they put Vegas with Phoenix, LA, and
get another. We'll take more. We got room. Come on over. I got actually a writing piece that I should edit and update. But I have a piece that I'll share with you guys one day. It's called Rotating Regions, and it's basically on how the NBA could save a lot of money, could increase their fan base, and make some damn sense of where the teams are sitting at as far as the divisions by taking one team from each region and just a little bit. But yeah, man, this series, oh man, thank you. NBA, for figuring it out, for giving us an exciting team versus an exciting team. I mean, both of these guys, they're playing great defense. You got stars everywhere. Both teams are great on both sides of the ball, and they're also horrible on both sides of the ball, handling the ball, because we see some high turnovers from this last game between Dallas and OKC. And what it comes down to is, first of all, it's ball handling. Towards the end of that game, the Thunder were still in it, and there were a couple of key turnovers and a couple of missed free throws that kept the Thunder in it, kept the game look like it could go to overtime. Dallas, definitely the more mature team, have the older leaders, of course, in Kai and Luka. So definitely, I've been betting the under on the PRA on Luka, by the way. Yesterday was the first time that I bet the over, and I should have stayed with my instincts instead of going with my heart and believing that, Luka might step up. Luka has been sort of like this de facto kind of glue guy, and his PRA has been sort of suffering because of it, because his PRA is very point heavy. So when you start seeing the high 40s, the low 50s, it might be an under. Kyrie Irving is probably the one to bet more on. He traditionally gets high 30s, low 40s, and somehow hits it like 9 out of 10 times. So if you're looking at someone to to lay some money on, that will be what I'm looking at there. The under on PRA for Luka, the over for Kai. Point totals the under has been smacking every game.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty consistent. And what's most interesting is that out of all of this, SGA over on the PRA, that man has been killing it. Okay, he has been the X factor for this entire series, and it's still a shame that he hasn't gotten MVP. But I digress.
All right, we're about to get into that. That's a good segue. Who do you think wins this series? And then we'll kind of wrap that up and get into that in the last.
Man, it's a 7 game series right now. That's all I gotta say. No, actually, I'm gonna go ahead 10 toes in. I'm picking Dallas only because I think that this is the year that they get back to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I think that was my pick. I placed money on Dallas to play Denver in the Western Conference Final. Dallas knew what they were doing. They were like, no, we want this 1-4 seed. We want to match up against OKC. We don't want to go to play Denver. And it's a good strategy. I mean, it's working. They're just PJ Washington is the true hero of this. Luka Doncic. She's not even looking at the PRA. I bet his points. I combined him and Gaffer's points under for a great parlay plus 250 yesterday, and they safely hit underneath that.
Nice.
Luka isn't having to be the point scorer that he had to be throughout the season to keep him maintained in that position and make that late season. People forget they were a play-in tournament team. Once PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford kind of got adjusted to Luka and the rhythm, Jason Kidd, boom, they started just knocking their way up into the middle round of the Western Conference, which would have put them in second in the Eastern Conference. So I just think that's really underspoken. Like it's all about SGA and it's all about Luka. Not really. When OKC won, Jalen Williams had a great game. Chet Holmgren had an amazing game. And Dallas is winning without Luka, and without Luka being a scorer. So that'll let us segue into our next argument or our next debate, if you will, between the MVP talk, because there is, I do hear I got my guy right here above me, Jokic, and I think he deserved it. Top 10 in rebounds, steals, assists, leader of steals of centers, leader of steals, leaders of steals from centers, and top 10 in blocks. Still, every statistic you go, but it's already voter fatigue. I don't think he's already where LeBron was. He's already there. LeBron should have won a couple of the years that Derrick Rose won and somebody else won. He should have won LeBron's MVP years, but people were already tired of him at that point in his career. Luka, not even 30. He's in the same spot. People were tired of it, but he played almost every game, first off, and he just does so much for the team. He's just such a center like hub. He had the biggest plus minus of any player in the league, which that has to say something. When he's on the court, they win. When he's off the court, they have the biggest minus differential in the league. Doing it without any other superstars. That's what's going to be Nikola Jokic's like part of his legacy is that he's been able to do it without anybody. The average is 14. Most people that have, the MVPs, multiple MVPs by their 28th age season, the average is 14 teams that are either like all NBA, all defense, 6-man of the year, all star. Like usually there's 14 of those by the time they get there. Magic Johnson had 33. Larry Bird had 32. Nikola Jokic has 0. He has 0. Okay. And at the end of the day, that has to go to some kind of accolade for what? Well, he has DeAndre Jordan, but DeAndre Jordan was excluded, just like Bill Walton was excluded for Larry Bird because the prime of their careers are, they're not playing anywhere those minutes to be relevant.
Right.
And that's part of that's part of why he won this MVP. It's part of the reason he got 79 votes and absolutely crushed the rest of the field because at the end of the day, it's just if he's not there, that team's not there. And you can say that for SGA, you can say that for Luka, but we're proving in the playoffs that Luka doesn't have to be the MVP of his team. But
that's true.
Those are the top three. That's my defense for Jokic. But what are your thoughts on SGA?
So let me start out by saying I like that we have our bigger media talent. So, I don't know if you saw the IG videos or anything from Shaq, how he's getting flack about his how he disagrees with the voting. I too disagree with the voting, mainly because if you see the TSA voting blog series, you see how my voting has tracked, my reasoning behind it, mainly because of the effect of each respective player, Jokic, SGA, Luka, has had, and where the standings were at. Wins, I believe, matter. And SGA has helped his team, helped the Thunder get some more wins than Jokic did. That was my main argument. But
no, they had the same amount of wins.
Not win shares. Win shares. Not win shares. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. Yes. Jokic it statistically clears the board. So him getting that many first place votes from the media, and it's absolutely on point. I personally felt, and you can see, we can go back and check me out on X/Twitter. I believe that it was too easy of a vote where people didn't really understand what else was going on with any other possible candidate, that it was like, oh, let's just throw these other guys in there. Let's give us some second and third place votes to show that we kind of watched, but we really didn't watch the season. I guarantee you half of these votes are guys that did not watch the season. I personally feel that, yes, the importance of Jokic is unprecedented, but to go from where the Thunder were at the previous season to where they're at this season right now shows a lot of the maturity of SGA. You saw, I'm telling you guys right now, every player that participated in FIBA this past season has had a huge increase on their performance for this season, minus Brandon Ingram. He's the only player that you didn't see a huge jump for, but he's always like a Julius Randle kind of thing, here again and gone the next day type of player. But SGA, you saw what he did with that Canada team. You saw what he did with Jamal Murray on there. You see his play has greatly improved. You see his defense has greatly improved. All those numbers and his improvement and how it has translated to wins for the Thunder had my vote. But hey, shout out 3-time Jokic. At least we're figuring it out. At least we're getting a lot better.
SGA, I mean, and that's what it is. Also, they're both in the Northwest Division. It's the smallest market. The biggest market team in the Northwest Division is Portland. Think about that. That's the biggest. That's the biggest market team in the Northwest Division. So you're right. I mean, I think these professionals. You and I have access to League Pass. You and I have watched condensed games. You can watch a game in 10, 12 minutes. And I know that they're doing that. But Jokic just demonstrated on such a level so consistently. And he joins a pretty fair. He's going to be one of the top. There's 7 or 8 greatest players of all time. That's just how it is. And he's going to be one of them. He's lifted himself on there. He probably needs one more title to get there. But winning 3 MVPs in 4 years is something very few have done. And winning four essentially MVPs in 4 years. It's pretty unmatched.
You know what? I'm going to say right now, he's already there. He's already submitted his status. So he's good.
Yeah, he probably has. Like I said, part of his legacy, I hope Jamal Murray gets the accolades he deserves. Aaron Gordon's been kind of casted shade, honestly, his whole career from the dunk contest on. But we'll see how that goes. We got about 2 more minutes before we get out of here. So I just want to say Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, please. Go join the Discord. I'll pop that up real quick for you guys. So if you're watching this later, you can see it. You can just copy and paste it right there on the bottom. That's our Discord. Shout out to all the mothers again. You know, we could talk about the lottery tonight. We could talk about all that. I got Denver winning the series. I got Dallas in the series. I got Boston winning the series. And I got the Knicks winning the series. So pretty chalky all the way across the board. Dallas is making them run, but they should have had a higher ranking. And then real quick, I just got to say, we talk about legacy. KD cemented his legacy. He's a 7. He's one of the best scorers of all time. He's a 2-time Finals MVP. You know, he's going to have what LeBron hadn't had to him. He's going to have to go win a championship somewhere else. OKC, Miami, anywhere but where he went and won them in Golden State. But also, he's gone through his 5th coach in 4 years, his 4th coach in 5 years. He's kind of getting, like, you know, destroyed as like a coach killer because he didn't make it to the finals with any of those guys. He did. You know, he made it with Monte, but he ran Monte out, you know, and he ran Monte out, and he's got Hall of Fame coaches that he's ran out. He's got winning coaches that he's ran out, you know, and I think that's going to be something. And then the new owner, Matt Ishba, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's gone through 3 coaches in less than a year. I mean, the Suns are in trouble. That can be a conversation for later. That's just kind of my closing thought or food for thought to close out the show. What do you have to close out the show with?
Actually, nothing NBA related. We're going to get to that another time. Guys, the WNBA season has started. The Dub, get on it. They're talking about Caitlin Clark playing the season and the Olympics. Go watch. Yeah,
we're going to be on the Olympics as well. Don't forget about that. Stick around with this all summer. You know, NBA finals going through at least the 2nd week of June, probably the 3rd. And we'll be there for it all every Sunday right here. JR, myself, somebody will be here with us. Sometimes there's more of us here. Sometimes there's just these two. Sometimes it's just JR holding it down. But I do appreciate you all joining us today. For a bet, if you just want a simple bet, I like Aaron Gordon over 0.5 threes made. Minnesota's being very disrespectful to him. He's attempted 8 free throws in his past 2 games. He's made 6 of them. Well, he's attempted 9 free throws, or 3-pointers, not free throws. He's attempted 9 threes. He's made 6 of them. They're leaving him wide open. It looked like he practiced making that 3 all throughout the break. He's probably going to get that attempt again. 1 basket, that's all you need. So you got to love it. Anything else, JR, before I take us out?
No. Like I said, hey, mash the over on SGA on PRA, man. That's it.
Yeah, all right, man. Thank you guys for joining us. Please like and subscribe. As always, best mark. Be lucky.